Mike Moore Media.
It's another program with the City of Reidsville, and on our media line, Chris Phillips, Assistant City Manager of Administration and Finance Director. Chris, always good to talk to you, and I know you've got some important news about the Sky's the Limit all-inclusive park, so let's hear it.
Yes, sir. Sure do. I'm glad to be able to talk to you again this morning.
Yeah.
We're actually going to have a groundbreaking ceremony for Sky's the Limit Park. We've talked about this on your program before. It's an all-inclusive playground, and it's going to be located behind Reidsville City Hall, the lower parking lot. There's a green space back there, and we're going to put the playground there. So, of course, the groundbreaking is going to be at the same location, back at the lower parking lot of City Hall. Mm-hmm. It's going to be on November 2nd. That's 2 Wednesdays. 2 weeks away on a Wednesday at 1 o'clock. It won't be a very long ceremony, but we did want to have a groundbreaking. We actually had hoped to have a ribbon cutting around this time of year, but, supply chain issues, we got caught in some of that, and this playground is going to have the kind of the rubber mat surface. Mm-hmm. So that it's pour-in-place surfacing, and the temperature has to be a little more consistent to do that. So we're going to get into the winter months, and it won't be a playground out there in 2 weeks, but that'll be coming up probably in March with a ribbon cutting. But we wanted to have the groundbreaking really because 2 of our major donors are celebrating their 100th anniversary in 2022. So we wanted to give them a chance to spotlight their organizations.
Sure. And for those that may have missed some of our previous programs, and I know you and others there with the City of Reidsville have been doing a lot about this since the announcement made back in the spring. Tell us about those community organizations, those civic clubs.
Right. So really, we kind of called it like a puzzle with all the pieces coming together. Mm-hmm. If you try to do a puzzle, you kind of get everything spread out, and all of a sudden it just starts clicking, and next thing you know, you finish your puzzle. Yeah. And that's what really happened with this project. We've often thought that downtown could use a park, another reason for folks to come and spend some time in the downtown area. And then at the same time, the city's looked at some grant opportunities to do an all-inclusive park. So everything in this playground will be accessible, wheelchair accessible. There will be a lot of things in there for children that are on the autism spectrum. There's visual and surfaces that really are designed for those kids. Mm-hmm. And really cool thing we didn't even think about, and we've heard stories, playgrounds like this, adults maybe in a wheelchair that can't play with their children at a normal playground, it'll accommodate an adult in a wheelchair too. So we wanted to do that, and Kiwanis got in touch with us, and for their 100th anniversary, they wanted to put a handicap swing. And when we started talking to them, realized this was a really nice, expensive swing. And at the same time, Rotary was going to celebrate 100 years, and they wanted to do a really nice gift to recognize their anniversary in Reidsville as well. The two of them got together and basically came up with about a quarter of the cost of the playground. Wow! And then Reidsville Area Foundation was really interested, and they provided us another quarter of the cost. And then the city council stepped up and paid for the other half, and also for restrooms there. And the other thing was we had a citizen donate an airplane, her husband's airplane, and wanted it to be used themed for education purposes, and that's where the theme for the park came from. We have the aviation theme. We're going to incorporate that airplane probably in the entrance, but everything in the park is going to sort of have an aviation theme feel to it, and we just thought sky's the limit to find the theme, but also also the purpose that everybody ought to have a place where they can go and participate.
You know, you talk about pieces of a puzzle coming together. This is Team Reidsville at its best, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's what I was thinking before we got on the call. This somebody will know what Team Reidsville is. You're talking about the organizations here with Rotary and Kiwanis.
Yeah.
Reidsville Downtown Corp was also involved. Reidsville Downtown Corp is a 501c3 nonprofit, so they are able to help us with funding sometimes that a nonprofit needs to be involved. So they also are part of this. And then council stepping up and really citizen support. We also talk to some family groups that do have children with disabilities, and we got some ideas from them. A lot of their ideas are really about the restrooms, things they would like to see in a restroom for a park like this. And we knew we needed restrooms, but to get their input of what features the restroom could have was really just invaluable for the whole project.
Sure.
But to go back with Rotary and Kiwanis, Rotary International started as an organization in 1905, and they started here in Reidsville in 1922. Kiwanis started as an organization in 1915, and they also started in Reidsville in 1922. Just 7 years into that organization, they had a chapter here. And it just kind of shows, 1922, the city was incorporated in 1873. So 50 years in, 49 years in, these two service organizations had found a home. So Reidsville had grown to the point that we had businesses and businessmen looking to get together, network, but also to make a difference, like this playground. Mike, it's funny. There's also, I just recently came across an article from 1922, Rotary's first year in Reidsville, and they were talking about they wanted to work on a playground in the city.
Wow. When you give those dates going back to the early 20s, and both of those organizations getting such an early start, and the tradition and what they've done for our communities, and both of those organizations worldwide with that reach, it's exciting, isn't it? Just to see that 100th anniversary for both of them.
It is. 100 years is nothing to laugh at. And for them to have that commitment and knowing what they went through, what we've all gone through the last 2 years, that they're still out there and they still want to make a difference. And I would encourage anybody listening to try to get in touch with our local Rotary, our local Kiwanis. Come out to this groundbreaking on November 2nd at 1 o'clock and meet some of the folks that are involved. They're struggling for members, just like a lot of other organizations, and folks still haven't got back completely into the swing of things from the pandemic. So they would love to have some new members. If you're interested, it's a great place to meet folks and make some business contacts, and also, a way that you can serve different parts of our community.
Sure, yeah, you can make a difference. That's for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, now the groundbreaking is November 2nd, 1 p.m., and then I know you said supply issues and the weather and some things like that. Lots of things work into that, but realistically, if everything in a perfect world, when do we hope to have this all-inclusive park ready for the kids to play on?
Well, unless something goes wrong that we don't expect, and that could happen, it'll be ready in the spring. And with the weather, we have some nice days all year round, but with the colder weather, it probably wouldn't get the folks out like it would in the spring. So we're planning on March 25th actually being the ribbon cutting, and that's going to be one of our sesquicentennial events. So these guys are celebrating 100 years this year. We're celebrating 150 as a municipality next year. And so March 25th, we're going to open up that playground, have a touch-a-truck, and we're planning on having a City Hall open house that day. So a really nice event, March 25th.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful news. You're talking about, let's kind of hit on this before we wrap up here, Reidsville's 150th anniversary coming up next year. And I've already been seeing some of the things you're planning and doing and the videos. And this is going to be a busy year, it looks like.
It is. And, Reidsville was here before 1873, obviously. Reidsville story is similar to a lot of smaller towns. It started with a store that the stagecoach that went from Danville to Greensboro, the stagecoach stopped at the store. And then mail started getting left at the store, so it needed a post office. And that's where the name came from. The Reed family owned the store, so they named the post office Reidsville. And then from stagecoach, it became the railroad. And by 1873, there was enough going on here and enough people looking at the area that it became incorporated as a municipality. Started offering some services. There's first services that you think about back then. You're going to get to water and sewer, and then electricity not too long after. And you have yourself a town, and it grows from there. The next thing, from railroad is the highway system. And so 29 sort of followed the same route that the railroad had before, that the stage had before. So, Danville to Greensboro, and Reidsville's right there in the center. So the actual sesquicentennial is the charter that made this place a municipality. Mm-hmm. So it went from being a village to being a town. Somewhere along the line, we went from being a town to a city. Nowadays, when your population hits 10,000 is when you're considered a city. Not exactly sure what year we became a city officially from a town, but 1873 is when we became a municipality, and that's what we're celebrating.
Yeah.
And we're trying to pull as much history as we can. And what we found out is the last time they really pulled a lot of this history was 1973 for our 100th anniversary. And then 1987, they did a lot of work when they created a wall of mayors here. But both of those were done without the convenience of the internet. And there is so much more access to information now. We're pulling in some pieces of information they didn't have access to, even 35 years ago when they did the mayor's wall. So we're excited to try to pull all this together. We're going to have some publications, some videos, and we're going to try to have about 2 events a month. And there will be a calendar coming out real soon about this sesquicentennial.
Wow, I'm excited with you. This is great. Thanks for the history lesson there. That's fascinating to look at those early beginnings and where we are today, and this streetscape project that will be completed next year as well, and all of that. That's wow. Chris, thank you. It's always good to talk to you, and all the good news you've shared with us today, and the organizations and everybody coming together to make this all-inclusive park happen in downtown Reidsville. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, we'll talk again soon. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Chris Phillips with us on this City of Reidsville program. He is Assistant City Manager of Administration and Finance Director. You can get more information, find out what's happening around the city at riseupresville.com. I always like to remind you at the end of our broadcasts, be sure to support our hometown businesses. Shop in Reidsville.